Good evening. How's everybody doing? Good, good, good. I am Pastor JD, pastor here at United Church of Pittsford, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome Pittsford community here for our second year of doing this series. This is our third night this year, and it promises to be wonderful, but I will not steal Kathy's thunder. She will be doing the introductions, but I want to personally welcome you all here. And what I haven't done the past two sessions was my shameless plug for United Church of Pittsford. We worship here every Sunday at 10 a.m., and you are welcome to come and join us, okay? Every Sunday, 10 a.m., but we have other events that happen regularly, concerts and different things, and we want you to consider this your community space as well. So if you have some thoughts or some ideas and don't have a place to have those, come see me, okay? There's cards back there. My cell phone number's on there, so you can feel free to, call me and say, hey, I was just attending the Pittsburgh community event, and I love the space that you have there, and I want to do this, that, and the other thing, and I'll say yes or no. Let's talk it over on lunch or something, right? Right, Logan? That would be a good idea. I'm always available for lunch. But anyway, without further ado, Kathy will come up and give our introduction for tonight. Okay? And again, you are welcome.
Thank you for welcoming us, Reverend Jackson. And we are truly, 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 oh, look who's, the stragglers are coming in here in the back. We are truly, truly grateful to have this church, this wonderful church, as our home for this Martin Luther King Living the Dream series. And welcome to our third event in the series. My name is Kathy Doyle. My pronouns are she, her, because we still do pronouns, right? And I'm on the board of Pittsford Community, and it is my great honor and privilege to introduce our speaker tonight, Shantara Mitchum. Mitchum, I got it right. I got it right. So I'm going to tell you a bit about Shantara before she starts speaking. Shantara works for Teen Empowerment, where she's the director of programs. Yay! And someone is waiting to be a member of Teen Empowerment. It's coming, baby, it's coming. And she's on the board of things like the Rochester Public Library, one of my favorite institutions, and the Children's Agenda. But she's here tonight because she is an extraordinary spoken word artist. And I first met Shantara when I was at NAS, her alma mater, and she was our headline speaker at our NAS Speaks Poetry Slam. And my breath was taken away, and when we had the ability to have her here last year, I said, oh my gosh, I get to commission another poem from Shantara. This is great, this is great, this is great. And I was thinking, how can I get another one? Do I need to found a new organization to invite her to? But when we were playing for this year, they said, oh, no, she's coming back, she's coming back. So we get to see her magnificence again. And so, ladies and gentlemen, and children, without further ado, let's welcome our guest today, Shantara Mitchum.
Dear society, I thought about you today, and I would like to read this letter because I got a lot of things I would like to say. See, I remember when you said, take a long look at myself and figure out who I am. And my reply back then was, I am who I am because I can only be who I'm taught to be. And honestly, you can see me better than I can see, so tell me, society, does my lifestyle seem correct? Or are my issues so deep that they are too hard to detect because my heartache won't let me be who I want to be because according to TV, I'm supposed to be pregnant by 15. And by the age of 20, I'm supposed to be a crackhead or a fiend. So tell me, society, why do those in power walk around like they're in mental coma? And why is it easier to get a felony than a high school diploma? Yeah, we walk around with so much hate, anger, and rage because you label us by our covers, never took a chance to flip the page, and you wonder why we're stuck in this psychological cage. Cuz it's the one you created, the one that you made. Remember? You told me I wasn't beautiful and my intellect wasn't enough, gave me unequal education, struggle in poverty. Yeah, you gave me a bag of that stuff. Pull me out my mother's womb, pray that I will be consumed in a generation where rather than books, teachers hand out guns and encourage the youth to kill each other off one by one. And come to think about it, it is easier to get into a prison than it is a college. Filled out 6 applications, paid $45 each just to obtain some knowledge. Yeah, death is free, but not for those who live like you, only for those who live like me. And you tell me that the system was created so that I would fail. And my older brother probably gonna be a hustler and wind up in jail. And because my mother doesn't know how to spell, my family was created just to go through hell. So what's left of my story to tell? Because I'm looking at myself through this internal cell and I can't see what's wrong with me. So tell me, society, does my lifestyle seem correct? Or are my issues so deep that they are too hard to detect? Because I've been wondering lately, why do you hate me? Because I can't see what's wrong with me. My letter to society. So I'm really excited to be here with you all tonight. I actually wrote that piece when I was 17. I'm not 17 anymore. I have my 3 beautiful babies here, my husband back here. Grateful to have them tonight. But it kind of speaks to what my mind was at that time, all of the things that I was experiencing as a young Black woman, really trying to find her way in a society that really seems as if it is oftentimes set up for us to fail. And it's definitely reflective of what young people who come from the community that I come from. I grew up in the city. I live in the city now. I grew up on Avenue D in Conkey. Back in the day, it was referred to as the Crescent. It was the most impoverished, with the most concentrated areas of crime in the entire city of Rochester. And that's the area that I was growing up in. And so what comes along with that? Stigmas and stereotypes come along with that. And so I was battling with that while also knowing, like, I have all of this potential to do all of these great things. And so how do I overcome what society says about me and how society is viewing me and what I know is already on the inside of me? And so that piece kind of speaks to that. So I want you all to understand that tonight is not necessarily about me. It's more so about you all. What we learned last year was that people are not going to come up and do poems, right? Everybody's not a poet. Some people may be inspired to do so, but that's not necessarily what this is about. This is more about you being inspired to share a word of encouragement, a story, an experience about overcoming the odds, to not de-radicalize Martin Luther King Jr., because we oftentimes do that, but to tap into the radical nature of Martin Luther King Jr. and speak to the very systems that are set up that he fought to tear down and destroy. So I don't want you to think that because you're not a spoken word artist that you can't get up here and speak. If you feel inspired, please, there are going to be moments where I'm like, hey, is there anyone who's inspired to come up? And I want you to come up and share, speak, and encourage, okay? All right. I am a slam poet, okay? And I want you to know that there's a difference between a spoken word artist and a slam poet. Slam poets, our main objective is to provoke a lot of emotion inside of you. So when I perform, it is a lot less laid back and much more theatrical, okay? But also as a poet, I feed off of the energy of the people that are in the room, right? So I know that we might come from environments where you don't snap, or you don't clap, or you don't be like, woo, right? But I promise you, it's not a distraction for me. If there's something that you feel is resonating with you, listen, I come from an amen church, right? So if we feel like it's amen, that's it, okay? So how are you feeling tonight? Let's just practice. Let me make some noise. Amen, yeah. That's what, snaps and claps is what I'm looking for, snaps and claps, all right? So I want you to enjoy what I'm going to be presenting. Now, I only perform as much as you're not willing to speak, okay? I want you to be aware of that. But I also have some special guests along with me tonight who will also be performing as well. So I'm going to move into this next piece. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching to freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. You say, turn me around. Turn me around, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on talking, keep on walking, marching up to freedom land. We wake up to the never-ending challenge of building a beloved community, of sacrificing comfort for provocation in the name of unity. Because how can we sleep peacefully without equity? After all, Dr. King said that it isn't simply the absence of tension, but the presence of justice. And what is justice other than us taking a stand, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, fighting against the evils of this world? The evils that will tell my little boys and my little girl that they are not good enough simply because their skin has been sun-kissed and is protected by melanin. Are we all not beautiful shades of the divine? Humanity created in the very image of the Creator, who is by no means a replicator, but embraces difference, because it is in our difference where we can fulfill our mission of what true love really is. Love. It's a funny word, because right about now, I feel like the world just needs a little more love, or maybe a lot more love, quite possibly an overwhelming outpouring, overflowing of love, because even in the New World Order, it seems a little dark. And we know darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So we can no longer sit back and watch, no longer claim the title of innocent bystander. We have all been guilty of not doing enough, so stand up, because the silence is as deafening as the screams of another I can't breathe, of a man screaming mommy and they ignoring him, his pleas by pressing on their knees. I remember when I found out that I would be having a son, y'all, I cried. I cried because of the conversations that I would have to have in order to keep him alive. I was afraid of who might fear him, and he would be labeled before he could ever spell label. Those before us have built the table, but it's up to us to decide who is welcome to come sit. But before we place our dish and expect people to eat of it, we must admit that there is so much more work to be done. Let me pose a question to you. Have you been beating those drums? The rat-tat-tat-tums of freedom, pounding as loud as a unified heartbeat, as loud as the clarion call of war, invisible army of fleets, as loud as the pounding of concrete by marching feet. That is you and me, drum majors for justice, of peace, of righteousness. Today I call upon thee to not become victims of complacency, to work cooperatively, for all creation. First, beginning with recognizing our own humanity. We are the engines of reconciliation, the driving force behind this coalition of love, a creative love, a redemptive love, an unconditional love that paints our lives red, where bullet shells become rose petals wherever we tread. So tell me, today, where do you stand? Because neutrality is not an option. We are all inexplicably connected. We are all being tested, pushed past those birthing pains, the growing pains, and remind the world that Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision wasn't just a dream. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around. Turn me around, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. If there's water, can I get some water? All right, anybody feeling empowered to speak, to share? Thank you. Need a little water. Need a little water. All right. So I'll bring up my special guest, who I love this person so dearly. Thank you. I love him from the deepest depths of my being. He is just one of the most brilliant people that I have ever come to meet, and I'm really grateful that I get to be a part of his life and a part of his journey. If you could please give it up for my son, Javon, as he comes forward. I think it's funny how we pray for things oftentimes, and then God tells us something different. God is like, I understand what you were praying for, but that's not really what you need. And so in all of my prayers in this world of fear of raising a black son, he gave me 2 of them. And then blessed me with a beautiful daughter as well. And I think what's really powerful about moments like this is that my son, he looks just like me, if you haven't noticed. But then he also is on this journey of creativity through the arts and spoken word, which is like mommy's dream. And so I get to kind of live vicariously through this young actor and spoken word artist. And so I'm really grateful. I had all of this fear, but you know how you're afraid of something, and then when you lay your eyes on it, you realize like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And so that's how I felt about this young man who is 11. He'll be 12 in a couple of weeks. And he has an audition for School of the Arts tomorrow. So you can kind of do your piece and explain it to the people.
So this piece will be called Big Three. I love the Big Three. I feel like those are the letters we need. BLM, those are the greatest letters to me. But you know who doesn't? These racist police. Because I know they hear me yelling, I can't breathe, remove your knee. Take my face off of this cold, cold concrete. And my mom yelling, my baby. Let me take a breath. Can I see an ID? Reach for a bow, guarantee for death. You can't see them coming from the right or from the left. Killing kids and they think they're the best, just in an all-black bulletproof vest. Let me get one of those to protect me from y'all. Don't that sound crazy? I just asked to be protected from the people who's supposed to be protecting us. Yeah, besides my dad, the police lost my trust. Killing kids and they think they tough. BLM, that's my Big Three.
I remember when he performed it for me, after he wrote it, and he was like, all right, Mom, I have a piece, and can I show you my piece? And I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm thinking it's gonna be like this really cute, fun poem, and then he does it, and I'm like, oh, that's how you coming out the gate? All right. I think you are a force to be reckoned with, and so really proud. Do you want to kind of talk about like what inspired that piece for you?
But really, well, I don't know how to explain it. It's just now, like the world really inspired me. I was just like looking at the news and seeing all of like the like police brutality and things like that. And so my mom, this in my church, we were doing this like this play for Black Lives Matter. And so once we did the play, I played the role of someone who was getting arrested. And so like that kind of inspired me to like let me make this piece. I want to show the people how I feel. That really inspired me. I wanted to show everybody like the things that young black men really have to go to. And yeah, that's really about it. That's what really inspired me.
I think the thing about, my son is like one of the things he said is like he wanted to be able to show what young black males have to go through. And I know like as a black woman, I would never fully understand that experience of how he has to move through this world. And one of the vows that I kind of took for myself is to not raise him in fear or raise him out of trauma, but to raise him to love, right? And I think that's the beautiful, for me, the best way to combat the racism and all of that they oftentimes experience is to show him, like, I want to show you what love really is. Because we get it, again, I'm raising him in the inner city, like I grew up in the inner city, and so you get all of these stigmas and stereotypes that come along with that, and he is consistently breaking that mold. He is doing all of the things I even wish that I could be able to do. As a young person, he's much more vocal than I was, and so the fact that he's thinking about how these issues impact our community is just really powerful, and I'm glad that I inspire you, love, because you inspire me. All right. Anybody feeling inspired to speak, to share? I'm going to keep on asking. All right. I think that I would, listen, I live for it. Okay, if you want to get up and do Mary Had a Little Lamb, I'll support you. I will do all the snaps and claps for you. But again, it's not necessarily about singing a song or doing spoken word. It's really about encouraging one another, especially in the climate of our country right now, where there is so much division, so much on this side and on that side. And one of the objectives is how do we come together as a community, despite what our differences are, despite what we may or may not believe, how do we unify so that we can heal this country? So I think if you have a word of encouragement, I would encourage you to share that on tonight, okay? All right, anybody? All right, I'm going to my next piece. Okay. And I'm going to be doing a lot of like music and singing, mixing Negro spirituals with a lot of the things that I've written today. I do believe in like the power of music and the feeling behind it and what it provokes. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that today. So I hope that's all right with you guys. And before I be a slave, I be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Why do we watch the birth of a nation when Africa birthed this nation? She watches her children grow from afar, locked behind psychological and emotional bars. She watches with saddened eyes because no one hears her silent cries because her children who built this nation still struggle with racism and discrimination. But she birthed kings and queens who were blinded by smoke screens, but we have been redeemed. She birthed warriors like Jack with those magical beans, or like David who slew Goliath, or like Jacob who dared to wrestle with an angel just so he could change his name. This is not a game. They did not give us these crowns. So why should we lay them down? This is the royalty of which we were born. We are more than a people that have been scorned. We cause the sun to rise. Yes, we are mourning, yet the sun can't rise. In our mourning, we are still mourning. Civil rights activists' life taken under the cover of night. And we are still afraid of what might happen when it's not light. No longer concerned with the KKK coming to lynch us. What have we done? Now we hide from shaky black and white palms holding guns, and we hide ourselves from the truth, which makes us an even stranger fruit, because death no longer hangs from trees in the southern breeze, but bodies grow like crops in these concrete fields. But we cannot yield, because before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And we are still being whipped. Trees sprouting from our backs, whipped from being killed because we're black to being killed because we're black. From Martin Luther King Jr. to Trayvon Martin, to our daughters being treated like sexual objects, Sarah Bartman. But we can never give up. We can never give in. No matter how many lashes they give, we must win. See, our ancestors were covered in lard and placed on auction blocks, sold off in their prime. And now our sons stand on auction blocks, auctioning off their bodies for jail time. So I will raise my son, letting him know that he is nobody's label, that he is a king sitting at the night table, because we are not pawns and this is not chess. So I'll declare my freedom until my very last breath has been sucked from my chest, because black is not just my color, it is my life. And so I will fight in the darkest of nights, even when I lose sight, because someone fought for me to be free, to lead, to speak, to teach, to see. And they said that our sons and daughters would never rise, but I want you to open your eyes and look to the skies, because freedom, it is not just a dream, it is today. And before we be some slaves, we be buried in our graves and go home to our Lord and be free. That piece I wrote, when Black Panther came out, because I was feeling real, Black Panther came out, and it was all about like the culture and everything like that, and I was so inspired by it. And I remember I took my students to, because I taught in the district for about 5.5 years, and I took my students on a field trip to see Black Panther, and they came back, and we were all in our Black Lit class, and they writing away, and I was like, I think I'm gonna write too. And so we all wind up performing our pieces at one of the Black History Month celebrations at one of the schools in the district. And so it's just funny that like a lot of what I pull from, of course, is like real life experiences, right? It's how I've experienced my journey and my walk. It's how people around me have experienced their journeys and their walks. And so I try to take that in a way and tell a story that makes you think, a story that makes you feel, that might make you angry, that might make you uncomfortable. All of those things are necessary for growth and for change. If we are all comfortable and we are all complacent and we all feel good all of the time, then we're probably not doing the work that we should be doing personally, but also as a community, right? And so I want to open it up to anybody that feels, I'm going to keep asking y'all. The floor is open. If you want to, yay! Give her a round of applause as she comes up.
What did I just do? Well, okay. Can you hear me? Yes. My heart's really beating very fast. So if I sort of like, drop over. Julius, okay. So I just wrote this while you were speaking, the first poem that you... I'm an artist, I'm a painter. I was raised in an Italian family in the 19th Ward. I'm not that young. So I was raised during a lot of ambivalence and, you know, during an unpeaceful time. And for me, it's very difficult. I moved to New York City when I was very young. And there's so many different cultures, and you hear so many different languages, that it's more like a blend. And I'd like to think that my mom did that for me. When I was very young, I started school at 4. We had moved into a new neighborhood, and I was alone. My mom said, you know, maybe you'll make friends, and you should go to school. And so I remember her telling me this, that, and I hope I say this correctly, that I was going to meet other children that didn't look like me. And I remember this so clearly. She said, I want you to remember something. If I were to cut you, what color would you see? And I said, I would see blood red. And she said, well, that's what you would see from another child of a different color. So in my mind, I've never, and I have a difficulty finding that division. I always think that people should be in harmony, I think. That's what I think. So here goes, because I just wrote this a couple of seconds ago, because I too love to write, and I guess you inspired me. I'm not certain how you will take this. I hope you understand that it was an inspiration in the moment, and I titled it Conversation Peace. Can we, as a society, move forward? Is there always a painful division? Why? I ask why. Can't we live in harmony? A harmony as an artist. Colors are my fusion, my passion, not a confusion. A blend of unity, mixing like threads woven together, a strength that brings hand in hand together. Together requires acceptance. Drop the mix, add the chocolate chips, pour the milk, blend, blend, blend. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Tell me your name.
Oh, my name is Maya.
Hi, Maya. Thank you, Maya, for sharing. Can we give her another round of applause? I love that, right? That inspiration in the moment of, now I'm thinking about things. And I think that's what we want, right? To be able to be inspired to think about why are these things the way that they are? And I love the title of the piece, which is like a conversation piece, right? I'm asking the question, the desire to be able to move forward, right? And so for me, I think and I can't draw or paint or anything like that. That is not my medium to be able to use. But I think about the beauty of artistry when it comes to like colors is the fact that there are different colors, right? And being able to acknowledge the beauty of those individual colors and how they come together to create a masterpiece, right? They are all needed in some aspect to create this beautiful masterpiece that should be our society, that should be our community. And so pulling from that, I love it, because that's what I want to see, this beautiful masterpiece of all of these different colors coming together. And you even talked about this thread, right? This weaving together. And I just started stitching and sewing, y'all. So I understand thread like this much.
This beautiful
now
masterpiece
my
that
son
should
get
be our
holes in his
society,
hands and his
that
knees
should be
now.
our community. And
But
so
it's the beauty
pulling from
of
that,
how
I
we
love it
bring
because
things together.
that's what I want to
And then
see.
you
This
each
beautiful
individual
masterpiece
thread,
of
you
all of
back
these
away, and
different
then all of a
colors
sudden we have
coming
a
together.
beautiful tapestry.
And you even talked about this thread,
And so
right?
thank
This
you again so
weaving
much,
together.
Mike,
And
for
I just
sharing
started
that
stitching this
piece.
song, y'all.
Anybody
So
else feeling inspired to
I understand
share
thread like
a
this
word?
much.
This
Beautiful
now
masterpiece
that
that
my son
should
get
be our
holes in his
society,
hands and
that
his
should
knees
be
now.
our community. And
But
so
it's the
pulling
beauty
from
of
that,
how
I
we
love it
bring
because
things together.
that's what I want to
Have
see.
a conversation tonight, if that's what you all would like to do. Any questions or words? Y'all knew y'all was coming to like an open mic, right? Somebody said, no, I didn't. I wasn't aware. I was wondering if that was my kids. And they're like, no, we weren't, Mom. We didn't know. You just told us to come. So this next piece that I'm going to perform for you all is looking at really the experiences of being a woman. I'm going to be mixing together the experiences of one being a woman, and of course, I'm a Black woman. And so I'm going to be mixing those experiences together for this next piece that I'm going to share with you. And my husband, oh yeah, he will play behind you if you need some like real deep inspirational music. He'll definitely play behind you if you're that type of person. And so my husband is going to help me with this next piece. My skin is black. My arms are long. My hair is woolly. My back is strong. My skin is black. My arms are long. My hair is woolly. My back is strong. I have carried the world. Humanity emerged from my womb. Back pains and labor pains only to be reduced to warmers of bedrooms. God's Son kissed this flesh, creating different hues of earth. Queens crowned by the Creator, but we still don't know our worth. Broken hearts ripped apart from the people that we love. Wipe away the tears that rain down from up above. And they expect me even still to carry this nation on my back. Ignore these blisters on my feet because I've been walking north for 2 centuries and I still don't feel free. My daughters are sexually objectified, constantly being examined through misogynistic eyes. My body has always been the blood diamond of greedy and disgusting men. Woman. Still screams, please don't rape me. Watch my back, look over my shoulder, carry mace just to get home safely. Constantly worried about my safety. Woman. Constantly battling the thought that all they want to do is beat us, give us babies, and then leave us. But we are tired of our physical attributes being valued more than our minds. For my shapely figure and skin tone to be despised yet imitated at the same time. Botox, butt implants, and tanning beds will have us scratching our heads like, I thought you'd never be caught in black, but that's not your face. But people have been wearing blackface since the early 1900s, which simply states my case that everyone wants to be us, woman, until it's time to be us. Have us hating our melanin and dark skin tones, embracing colorism instead of our Nina Simone's black woman. Do not be deceived. You shouldn't have to struggle between the decision to wear natural coils or bundles of weave. It's your choice, woman. Breathe fire and scorch their souls. Watch them shrivel in fear as you walk across those hot coals, because we is strong. We watched our sons, husbands, and daughters sold on auction blocks. We have waited on bended knee with hands praying to God that he would stop the clock, slow down the motion of our next child being shot by a gang member, by a cop. We have had our breath ripped from our chest and we dare not inhale, exhale, caught between the fantasy of heaven but reliving the history of hell. You gave us these rules. You can be articulate, but not too much. You can speak eloquently, but in the presence of men, please shut up. Please dumb it down. You will never get a husband if you're too profound. Speak your mind, but you can only speak it, woman, at the right time. And I'm still screaming. Please don't take my daughter. Please don't take my son. They belong to someone, me. I sacrificed my body to assure that Master would one day set us free. Before I knew that I would be raising the son, I prayed that I didn't have one. And when I did, I shed a tear because I knew someone would fear him. Especially once he could be identified as a black man, even though he was still just a boy. You see, in my household, guns cannot be toys because his Nerf gun could get him gunned down. So I have placed this vine of thorns around his crown to keep the outside from destroying his royal nature, which is good. I'm just a black mom raising black boys in the hood. Nevertheless, woman, you are a queen. Your name begins with empress. Our hair is our crowns, so we do not lay them down. We have earned every piece of gold and glitter that adorns our skin, every song written in lamentation from the breath of men. We have undeniably shown strength in the worst of times, wise beyond our years, fresh revelations from our minds. Embrace who you are, woman. Your value cannot be placed, for if it could, it would cost the entire human race. My skin is black, my arms are long, my hair is woolly, my back is strong, my skin is black, my arms are long, my hair is woolly, my back is strong. Thank you. It's hard being a woman, y'all. So yeah, that was inspired by, if you don't know, Nina Simone has a song called For Women. And I remember like listening to, I mean, I love Nina Simone's voice. So I remember like listening to that song and being like, man, like it's so powerful, the messaging behind it. And so I was like, I'm gonna write a poem about it, what it means to be a woman. And I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to like social change and the work that we do, women sometimes get left out of that narrative. But the reality is like women, we carry so much. We carry the weight of a lot of it. We are always kind of standing in the background sometimes and pushing and pushing and supporting. And so sometimes we just need to be acknowledged for the work that we do. Amen? Okay. I don't know, maybe y'all women don't like to be acknowledged, but I like to be acknowledged, baby. If I cook dinner, say it tastes good. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking for. Anybody else feeling inspired to share? Come on. Give him a round of applause as he comes.
I don't know how to explain this. You know, she's inviting And I thought, what the hell? I'll look on my phone. Here's a poem from 2008 or earlier, more like maybe 2007, that I wrote upon the birth of my first or second granddaughter. So it's a little long, but the style is already, the pattern's already been set. My beloved granddaughter, who is this little woman in my arms, eyes bright and glowing smile? Who will she become, kicking legs and flaying arms? Who will feed her body and soul hungry for the food of life and wisdom? Who reads the books loaded with generations of memories? Who ties the knots in little shoes, patent leather or saddle brown? Who hides the quarters so carefully under the pillow, retrieving the tooth so tenderly tucked? Who holds her hand and walks her in the pond knee-deep? Who cuts cardboard, reads the instructions, brings the tools, has the patience for dolls and cutouts? Who holds the box wrench and the pliers as she removes the training wheels herself? Who holds the bike seat, then balanced and nerves are so needy? Who buys the bait, threads the worm, and guides the arm for the first overhead cast? Who meets her at church and sits in the pew and sings those old familiar songs? Who looks in her eyes with confidence and prays on confirmation day? Who will praise her as she grows, confused by the changes she feels? Who will listen to her when she needs a friend, alone and pressed by peers? Who will dance with her slowly, carefully, leading her in a firm hand and careful steps? Who cautions her with wisdom, a knowing heart, conflict of passion and responsibility? Whose son will date her with style and flair, share a romantic moment, seal it with an embrace? Whose son will kiss these lips for the first time, tender, wanting to know the love of her own? Who will chastise her for her desires, harshly and without memory of her own wonderment? Who will dismiss the anxious criticisms of novices and believe in the girl, now a woman? Who anticipates the prayers for protection, God's gentle hand upon the waves of her life? Who rejoices with her on special days when a man pledges his life, honor, his commitment as a couple? Whose son will touch her body and ignite the fire of life, awakening in her Eve's calling? Who will be at the delivery, holding her hand and supporting her as she shares in Eve's pain? Who knows the soul of this woman wrapped in a child's arms, love and fright? Who lends the down payment for a car, a house, schooling so clearly desired? Who plumbs the toilets when the man is away? And who stops the drip, 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 incessant reminders of his absence? Who stands in when all is chaos, then silent, naps for them, naps for mom? Who remembers special days and memories that make a couple part of a generation? Who prays for her on nights when her man is away, deployed to protect others' lives, liberty, and property? Who sits with her when she's confused and promises are broken, plans missed, and cars don't start? Who provides a shoulder when tears boil over and a cascade down the cheeks and across the stove? Who stands by and holds trembling shoulders as they know death, grief for the first time? Who takes the great-grandchildren on a special night, her second chance at love? Who provides the nest egg to tide her over treasures of security, gift annuity for life? Whose memories help the long hours alone, painful joints, painful walking, labored breathing? Who prepares a place, turns down celestial sheets, and fluffs the pillows of heaven so she'll know it's there? I will.
was amazing. That was not Mary Had a Little Lamb. I'm telling you, y'all see how the Lord works. Oh my God, can we give him a round of applause again for sharing? Oh my goodness. Anybody else feeling inspired to share words with us tonight? Yes, please, come. Give her a round of applause.
Well, Martin Luther King Jr.'s day is a day of dreams, so I'll probably do Dreams, written by Langston Hughes. And I would like to try to speak in sign, because the other issue we have, of course, is division. And we like to talk about the obvious, the news divisions, and the hidden divisions, like deaf and hearing, where people are discarded because they just don't speak the same language. They just can't understand what's happening, or when they're invited, or are they invited? Is there a plate at the table at all? Maybe there's a plate but no chair. Nothing to eat with. There's no access. The reason why Dreams fits, of course, is the day, but also because for the deaf, if I can speak for the deaf, there are many, many dreams that just can't happen because there are just too many obstacles. And the first one being access. The first one being have a common language, a common way to communicate. How can you know somebody if you can't talk, if you can't take the time? So here goes. It's a little like, it's fine. Oh, okay. Dreams, written by Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is like a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams go, life is a barren field frozen in snow. Hold fast.
That was really powerful. And I think one of the things that I think you talk about is being very fitting, right? When we think about like Martin Luther King and dreams, and then the other part of that, you know, the poem, thinking it just, what happens to a dream deferred, right? And so all of these poems start kind of coming into my mind that I've learned and heard over the years. Like, we cannot stop dreaming. Like, we can't stop dreaming up better futures. We can't stop dreaming of a country that we want for our grandchildren to grow up in, and great-grandchildren and children. Like, dreams build the world. They're the foundation for the world. And so it's important to hold fast to your dreams. And I think, too, one of the things that I've encountered is that when you get to a certain age, you feel like you can't dream anymore. But, like, we can dream at every age. And I have to even tell myself that when I'm dealing with my kids and they're talking about the creativity, that how their mind works. Like when my son is telling me that a T-Rex destroyed his room. And I'm like, how did that happen? And he's explaining to me. But like as a mother, it's very easy for me to be like, well, that's not real. You messed up your room. But like sometimes we have to step back and I'm like, well, tell me the story of how a T-Rex destroyed your room. Because then you realize how creative a young person is. And I'll tell you the story. Y'all want to hear the story? So Junior was about 3 years old, and I came home, and his room, it was a hot mess. It was a mess. There was toys everywhere. And so I said, Junior, you need to clean your room. And he said, "But Mommy, I didn't do that." And I said, "Well, who did it?" And he said, "A T-Rex messed up my room." And I said, "Well, Junior, how did a T-Rex mess up your room?" And he said, "He went in my toys and he pulled out all my toys." I said, "Well, tell me how, show me." He said he went like this, and he leaned down and he shot my toys all over the room. And I said, "Well, where were you when the T-Rex was messing up your room?" "I wasn't here." "Well, then who told you that the T-Rex messed up your room?" "Spider-Man did." And I said, "Well, why didn't Spider-Man stop him? Why didn't Spider-Man web the T-Rex?" He said, "Because he ran out." I said, "So the T-Rex messed up your room. Spider-Man ran out of spider webs." I said, "Junior, I think you're just making up stories." And he said, "No, Mom, for real. The Spider-Man told me the T-Rex messed up my room. And I'm getting really sweaty, and so I cannot clean up." And so I show him this. I had to record. I did record that story because I have to show him every now and then because I'm like, "You're a very creative liar." And so, but it's those moments that are really important because we can shut down the creativity of young people. We can shut down our own creativity, especially when we start to go through things in life and experience what I call adulting. We can shift the way that we see the world. And so there is something in that where we have to hold on to our dreams. We have to hold on to our creativity. We have to hold on to that spark on the inside of us because sometimes we need to tap into that because the world can feel very ugly sometimes. And if you don't have that spark on the inside of you, you can start to paint the world ugly as well. But I refuse to accept that our world is just ugly. I want to see all of the beauty that exists within God's creation and within humanity. Because I like to remind myself, and this is something very profound, and if you're not a believer, I apologize, but I like to remind myself that Genesis 1:26 tells me that I look like him. And so he loved himself so much that he had to create himself because he wanted to chill and hang out with himself. And so those are the things that I think about, I'm beautiful. I'm created in the image of the Creator, right? And so just reminding ourselves of those things. Is there anybody else that's inspired to tell a story, to share a poem or a word of encouragement? Come on, can we give her a round of applause as she comes up?
Thank you. Hey, everybody. I don't like public speaking. When I was in high school, we had to speak, and I would get redder and redder, and it would be full-on hives. But I tried to get some words on paper. Last year, I wrote nearly a poem. But this year, I didn't get a poem, but I have words. And when I was thinking of words, the first thing I thought of was swear words, because I'm very angry, and I vacillate between anger and sorrow. And so I wrote down my fake swear words that I use with my children, so I don't swear in front of them. But this week, I read 2 executive orders now, and I wept. Yeah. And I care about our people, and they're hurting, and they're being told they don't belong, and they don't exist. And they do, and we do. And so I guess I just wanted to speak to that, that we are a nation of immigrants, and immigrants belong here. Absolutely. And we are a nation of diversity, and it's not a 4-letter word, and it shouldn't be banned. And DEI is beautiful, and I think those acronyms should be celebrated and not taken away. So for those that don't know me, LGBTQIA+ inclusion is my jam. So that's what I first gravitate towards. It's part of my professional life, my personal life. So when I read about things that are trying to erase people I love. I want to like speak them to the world. So intersex people exist. When babies are born, the doctor or midwife takes a quick peek between their legs, and based on that external genitalia, sometimes they say it's a boy or a girl, but 1 in 2,000 babies, it is not clear. Those babies are intersex. When we look at sex beyond just that external genitalia, 1 in 200 people in their lifetime are intersex. It is as common as having red hair. Raise your hand if you know a natural redhead. Intersex people exist. Okay, they are valid, they are real, they are wonderful and perfect in biologic diversity. It exists. We don't need to put people in 2 boxes. We put people in boxes all the time, it's how our brain works, but we don't need to do that to each other. Secondly, the second group of people that come to mind is non-binary people. I'm the parent of one. They are perfect and wonderful, and they don't belong in 2 boxes, right? And that's them. And so non-binary and trans people, they exist. You belong here. Immigrants, LGBTQ people, BIPOC people, you belong here in Pittsford. You belong in Monroe County. You belong in New York State, the United States, in our continent, in our world, and in our universe. You are all perfect and wonderful, and you belong. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that we exist in a society that is constantly trying to erase our identities, and so we have to be very aware of that. And oftentimes, if you want to be perceived as American or you want to be Americanized, that means that you can't also be this. And I remember like being in graduate school for my master's degree and reading and learning about the process of what it meant to become American, right? That when Irish and Polish people originally came to America, they weren't welcome here either, but they had to transform and shift their identities to fit into what America says needs to be accepted. And so I fight to make sure that my own identity is embraced. And I feel like sometimes we feel like, oh, well, if we all just forget about all of our differences and only focus on our similarities and the things that we have alike, then we'll be all right. But the reality is that I don't want you to forget that I'm a Black woman. I don't want you to forget that my experience, because that's how I identify, and it's a huge part of who I am. It's the intersectionality of my identity. I am made up of all of these elements, and I want all of these elements to be acknowledged. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I've been learning a lot during this past week, and I think one of the things that I often think about in my experience is I look at my friends who are not people of color oftentimes, and I look at their reaction to this election and our reaction as people of color to this election. We're not at all surprised. We're not at all like, oh my God, like I can't believe, but they are weeping. They feel so very heavy, and it's like we live this every day. Like we knew what to expect from this country. Why? Because this country has consistently shown us over and over and over what ideologies it believes in and what it values. And so I think for us, I have to also sometimes be aware of how I move in different spaces, because I'm like, girl, stop crying. But you know what I mean? I'm like, girl, stop. But I'm like, I get it. You're not living what I'm living. You're not experiencing what I'm experiencing. So while I'm not surprised, and when I tell you I'm not at all surprised about what happened, but they are. And so how do we show up for one another in these spaces where my experiences might be a little bit different from your experiences? And I think that's just as important as well. So that was my moment of like revelation this week. Like I am being very insensitive. Like I need to like be more present and support the individuals who are just, for some people it was very traumatic for them. And so wanting to be able to acknowledge that and show up for those individuals. Does anybody else feel inspired to speak? Come on, 2 people. So I'll come here. Tell me your name. I'm Jen, and then I'll hop back here. Tell me your name, sir. Ralph. Okay, Jen and Ralph. All right.
I also do not like public speaking. I did a demonstration speech in 7th grade on how to wrap a present, and my tape loops got all tangled, and it was a disaster. But your first poem kind of spoke to me about the way I've been thinking about this week, and I think where we're standing. And it reminded me of something that had happened, again, as a teenager. As a 17-year-old, I wanted to go to my senior prom, and because I wanted to go, I was motivated enough to walk down the hallway, and there was a kid in front of me from my bio class who was the year below me, and I decided that's who I'm gonna ask. So I remember taking a deep breath and a big step and made the ask. And so I think I wanted to share that taking action is what we all can do now, but it doesn't have to be a big thing. I just was lucky enough to go on a civil rights journey to Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee with Nazareth University, and met people who did small things in their communities to have an impact. And it's something that we all need to be thinking about and doing over the next week, next month, next year, next 4 years in order to get through this. And there was a post on Facebook that I reposted in order to remind me of those small steps. Things like calling an elected official. It's taking a deep breath, taking a step, and just doing it, as opposed to keep reiterating all the things that have gone wrong. You can do that step. That's an easy step. You can support an organization like Teen Empowerment or Pittsburgh Community that are doing things in our community if you feel like you can't do those things yourself. You can support somebody who is doing the work and see what they need. Annalise and Thadaha and Kathy do so much work, and JD in this community, and Kevin and Linda Beckford, who aren't here tonight. They're doing the work in our community, and we can see what they need in order to support them to keep doing the work. Making sure that they are refreshed or that they have somebody to listen to them in order to be able to keep doing that work. So I hope that you all think about where you can take a deep breath, take a step, and take that action in order to get through the next few years so that we can connect with each other together. Thanks.
I grew up south of Interstate 10, and after college, I moved to Rochester, which is north of 90. So I had my own personal, I guess, a language I wanted maybe have been inspired to name what was going on for my own personal liberation as an emerging gay man. Was I had my own personal great migration. One of my dear friends that I met when I was a 9th grader in high school moved from Rochester to my little town, Chipley, Florida, which is in the Central Time Zone. And to give you an idea of that area of the country, that's Matt Gaetz. If you remember Matt Gaetz, he's the person who used to represent that part of the world. So I knew growing up that I could not survive there as I began to know myself. But when I was little, I remember colored only drinking fountains, bathrooms, and there was a young woman who moved as a 10th grader from Rochester to my little town, Chipley, because of some family disruptions. And so she asked her grandmother if she could move to Chipley and finish out high school. So beautiful black woman with a fabulous voice, and I played piano. So I was asked if I would be her accompanist. And I said yes, but if I could do it during school, because I lived on a farm. So when, everything outside of school was on the farm. So I did, and so Constance was criticized for hanging around a white boy, and I was criticized for hanging around a black girl because we were just starting integration, one of the last bastions of segregation in the country. And there are a lot of chain fights and all kinds of stuff going on for all kinds of reasons I can go into, but it'll belabor the story. So Constance and I became really good friends. 20 years or so, 25, I guess, when her son began ready to go to college, Constance called me and says, well, Carl got a scholarship. He has a beautiful voice. And I said, well, that apple don't fall far from the tree. And he said, he's got a scholarship to go to Eastman School of Music. Would you help my son? Well, it just rekindled, and I did, and it just rekindled our friendship. So I asked Constance, what was it like for you? Well, I learned a lot. And it was pretty bad. What she had to go through, living in a subsection, forced to live in a part of this little town that only had like 3 traffic lights, but it was only one part of town where black people at that point could live. And she told me, well, on Saturday nights, there would be a caravan of cars that would come through the neighborhood, and wake everybody up just because. Power over. Power to dominate. And I said, well, did you call the police? Being naive, right? I said, well, did you call the police? Did you call the county sheriff's office? And we were on the phone. This is a phone conversation. I can just imagine her put her hands on her hips and telling me, well, what good's that going to do when it's the sheriff's car who's leading the parade? Okay. So, a lot of stories like that. So, I've gotten the county news. Now, it's like, we call it the mullet wrapper because these small communities, they only have like three pages maybe, and it's a weekly paper. But I've been getting it through since college days. I've been getting all through for these last 50 some odd years. I'm now 60, late 60s. Anyway, last week I get the county news, and below the fold is about the Dozier School for Boys. I don't know if you've heard about Dozier. Yes. Have you seen the movie, The Nickel Boys? I have not seen it yet. I'm getting goosebumps about the whole idea of seeing it, but it's important to see, because if we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it. Now, Dozier School for Boys is kind of like what's going on in, it's intended to be to help rehabilitate children who've gotten in trouble with the law. And I don't know what's going on in Henrietta at the new facility. I just don't know, but it can't be all good. But the problem with Dozier is, given the kind of background that I told you about things that would happen on Saturday nights, that wasn't good. There were literally hundreds in this article. I wish I had it with me because I could share one paragraph in it, which was describing just at a very, very peripheral top level of some of the horror in the school, where mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. I mean, just, oh my God. And they discovered, and this had to be, well, it had to be 20 some odd years ago. They discovered that there were bodies in graves, unmarked, on the school grounds. Now, if that doesn't rip your heart apart, I don't know what does. But in the 1950s, the then governor of the state of Florida condemned what was going on. Well, we're going to reform this. We're going to reform this. 1950s, 60s, we're going to make reforms. You can imagine what could have happened if they really were serious about it, but it didn't. But and it wasn't until, I think, was it 2017 maybe, that the school actually closed. But here we are, 2025. Last year, because of the relentless efforts of the families and the communities in North Florida, the state of Florida last year, I think it was $20 million that they set aside in the budget for surviving families of those who were harmed to the point of death. And in December, this past December, was when that was the deadline to sign up. And I guess there were I read there were 80 families who signed up for it. And so this is like just this tiniest similarity to an attempt to repair. Tiniest. If you lose your child and you're not even informed of it, and the body is in unmarked graves, my God, we have got to join in solidarity. We have to speak up. We cannot let such not knowing, we can't let this out. We just cannot allow this to happen. We just cannot. But it reminded me, this horror reminded me of a book I'm reading which describes things that have happened in Mississippi, throughout the South, and even in the North. Violence, you name it. So we all have to find our voice. We can't be silent. If you see something going on, speak up. We really have to join together, and so because none of us can be free until all of us are free. We really can't. I know, and King said, we just have to read it. We have to know our history. and we have to tell our stories. We have to acknowledge the horrors of the past, because if we don't acknowledge it, it's going to repeat itself. And we do not want that. Because my goal in life is to try to let's create the future that we dream of, and that to create a beloved community where the divinity that is in you, and thank you for your gracious sharing tonight, and playing the keyboard, and the creating accessibility through signing, and I do not know how to sign, but thank you for, I do know how to clap, but we have to join together, because in solidarity we really can make a difference, and every little bit helps. Nothing is too small. So thank you.
Come on. Give Ralph one more round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing your heart. Come on, friend.
I said I wasn't going to do this.
It's been a long time since I've heard you, so.
Yeah. So my given name is Christopher Coles, and as many of you don't know, which probably none of you know, I am also a spoken word poet. Now, so spoken word works with music, okay? So one of the confines of being an interpreter is we're always observers, we're never involved, but we're also artists. So, and you guys are like, I get like performer's jealousy. When you're up here talking, I'm like, oh, I can have like 2 minutes of that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read two pieces. Something that, just everything, I'm going to use some of the things that everybody said. So I heard open your voice, and I was like, all right, so I got to get out here now. Like, apparently that was God talking to, me to get up. Also, talking about these times that we as Black Americans live through, and these will be new, unprecedented times for the rest of the world. We're not laughing, we're not gloating, we're here with you. We will sit with you, we will come for you during these times, but this is absolutely nothing new for us. So again, when the world was going through its most horrible times, we were making jazz, we were making music, and Black joy was paramount, and it'll be paramount for the rest of our lives. So, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have a lot of engagement. I know I like looking at you, you guys looking at me, but we're gonna change that very soon, okay? To the piano player, this is how spoken word poets, you say you a slam poet, right? So this is how, I am Bakari poet, and I am a healer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unleash the musician to play whatever you want. I have a song called I have a poem called I Love Black People. And I rarely talk about the reason why I wrote these poems, but I wrote these poems, I Love Black People, right? Something a little bit more contemporary, contemplative, So I wrote this right after the death of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling. So the Philando Castile, Alton Sterling died on July 4th, Alton Sterling on the 5th. And I remember going into an interpreting assignment, and I'm here, suit and tie, and people are talking about their golf game. And that was the reason why I realized that there are two separate Americas. So instead of being angry, I just wrote us into a place where you can find some meditation in this. So I love Black people. Put me back in the Baptist church with that. Like, I'm with it. All right. I love Black people. I love how our hair curls down and swoops over our sorrows. I love how our dark body refracts the sunlight and blots out gloom. I love how our mouths, our lips, curled and thick, that we used to sing and to rage and to cry with a loud voice and shout. I love how the way our eyes work and blink and acknowledge each other. I love our namaste and our ashe, reminding me that I see the gods in you. I love our spirit and our soul, creating and innovating and carrying on. I love those of us who bought a physician or straight hair. I love those of us with kinked hair, and I love those of us with no hair at all. However you wear it, I love it. I love those of us who are straight. I love those of us who are gay. I love those of us who are intersexed and two-spirited. I even love the hood and the educated. I love black people. But what I really love is black people who are enlightened and free to raise their voices and canvases and paintbrushes and raise their volumes and raise their fists. I love us in all of our social standing and multiplicity and the way we fight and march and do it again 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 and just try to be. We are at war with the world and with ourselves, but we need a moment of a healing salve. Despite the rocky tribulation, we continue to be forward marching. I love black people. God bless you today. Be a light today. There is light at the end of the spectrum for you. Thank you. Since there are two mics. Told you I didn't want to do this. Everybody, if you can, that we're going to do something that we take. I don't even know how to raise this up here. Let me leave it like that. I don't want to break nothing. So as we do in the black church, I want everybody to use their right hand and push it over to Luann over here in the corner. Okay? She encouraged me to get up and said I should do a few pieces, and she knows exactly how the cadence is and how revolutionary some of my stuff is. So God bless her when she has to interpret this stuff, because I don't even know how to interpret this stuff. Okay. But if anybody could do it. Okay. I'm thinking very jazzy, very somewhat, you know what I mean? You got it. That's how creatives talk. Oh, you got it? Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. The next piece I wrote, it's called Come Alive. And I just remember looking in the mirror. Hi, Facebook. Somebody's probably like, you're alive, I see you. I remember looking in the mirror and thinking about this phenomena that I think a lot of Black Americans think about. We spend so much time thinking about our ancestors and how oppressive times, what their response was and the things they had to endure, right? And how much they had to go through the stuff they had to go through to survive just long enough to pass the information. Like, they didn't want to do all the stuff that they had to do and go through all the things that they had to go through, you know, and humiliated and, you know, dehumanized, you know, humanized and everything. But how they just survived long enough so that I can stand here and boldly proclaim and boldly speak my mind. So I wrote this piece about, you know, if I look in the mirror and I just see, you know, an ancient ancestor in there, and what that conversation would be like. And it's called Come Alive. Whatever. Play whatever.
He real churchy, so.
Yes. You know, believe it or not, my grandmother was a preacher, so yes. I'm gonna work with it. Yes. See, we call letting the spirit move. So I believe in letting the spirit work. Come alive. Come alive. Come alive. Come alive. I choose this hour to now come alive. See my name echoing your reflection. I was with you when the dawns were young. I was with you on the bow of the good ship Jesus, rock rolling through the Atlantic. I am the siren of the talking drum. Thunder through your hands, resound through your feet. I am meaning and intelligence through your songs. I am drumline cascading through your chest. I am vision in step. I am verb. I am prose. And your songs of jubilation. I am syncopation, revelation, and time. I whispered into the ears of your ancestors and called out your name, awakening you now through ancestral vision, opening up to you galaxies of cloud and star. I'm sweet resound to those no longer oppressed, liberator of chains. I am vision and quest as we built our kingdom forward on celestial bodies. See with me. Let me say it again. See with me, for I am mountaintop vision and rolling hill, giving you clear and indelible sight. It is I who fuels the blood of the warrior. Like Shaka Zulu and Nzinga, I am the keeper of warrior seed. I was with Martin on the balcony of Lorraine Hotel when they both shot us down. They tried to lynch me, tried to shoot me and bury me in deep dark earth. But I am seed and I come alive in you once again. In heartbeat, thunder through your hands, resound through your feet, and I'll fill your voice with eternity and fill your wings with morning song and gather you over clouds and water you over nations. I will write your name again from dilapidated stone and raise them higher than Pianki's great army. I'll give you hope that can't be lynched, dreams they can't put bullets to. I will baptize your sons, I will baptize your moonlight and make you children of the sun. I'll give you hope that can't be lynched, dreams they can't put bullets to. I will baptize you in moonlight and make you children of the sun. I just feel the need to say that again. I will give you hope that can't be lynched, dreams they can't put bullets to. I will baptize you in moonlight and make you children of the sun. I will put my language on your children's tongue and make them governors of this new era where they will never be second class, never bow beside the road, or never know what it means to have to tip their hat. Can you feel me? Can you feel me giving you freedom songs and putting them locks in the locks of your kinky hair? So come alive in the cymbals and come alive in the bass and learn this new freedom song. Everybody say, come alive. Come alive. Now wake, pray, slay. Thank you.
I thought I had the microphone that didn't work. But, oh, Dadaha's back. You can probably help me with this. I want to acknowledge our sponsors for tonight. She, I think, has a list. But we want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to participate. So we're going to raise a free will offering. You give what you can if you like what you heard tonight, or if you just want to support for us to even do better next time. If you didn't like what you heard, feel free to make a donation. We need to keep this going, okay? This, again, is our second year, and we are hopeful that this will go forever. Kevin's gone. He stopped in here for a brief minute, but he said he wanted this to go long after him. Kevin and I are the same age, so hopefully we'll both still be around for a while, but go for it. And give us some giving music. I'm from the Baptist church too, and I was raised with a little louder than what we do typically here on Sunday, but take me back home to there we go. Does anybody know this one? You don't want me to sing, but I kind of know it. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for he is good. Oh, give thanks, you know it, to the Lord, for he is good, for he is good. Who's going to help me sing? Worthy, for he is good, for he is good. Oh, they left me. Worthy, for he is good, for he is good. All right, they're counting money. I thought they were going to come up so I could pray over the offering, but I'll pray over it anyway. Yes. So, yeah. Tadaha, you got our sponsors? I forgot I had the list. I'm sorry. Our sponsors, Rochester Regional Health, the Highlands of Pittsford, Rock Growth, Human Rights Campaign, ESL, and general sponsors, Enchanted Cabin Soaps, Howard Mafucci, Nahoko Kawaki. She's testing me here. Ralph Carter, that's one I can pronounce. Assembly member Jen Lunsford, Alyssa Plummer, Pittsford Town Board member Kathy Koshikar, Samara Massage, Kim Taylor, Wegmans, Deepika Singh, Naveen and Kate Havenar, Kevin Spencer Beckford, the Fazili Firm, Stephanie Townsend, Chiron Sattler LeBlanc, and Jen Canning. Wonderful. Okay, and we got our individual donors, Rose Erickson, Taj Smith, Katrina Levan, Victoria Love, and Dorothy Bausch Barker. And of course, you tonight. So we thank you for the offering. And we'll give a quick prayer. I haven't done this over the past 3 nights, but we'll pray tonight. Okay? So let us stand for the prayer. Okay. She's coming? All right. Okay, thank you. Most gracious and eternal God, as we stand before you of many faiths and many beliefs, we call you by your many names and say a blessing over this offering. We ask that you bless it, that it be used for your kingdom, for all of the needs of this organization, Pittsford Community, and for the Pittsford community, for our town and our world. We know that this can serve as just a ripple on the ocean. And we ask that it be so. We ask these blessings in your name we pray. Amen. All right, thank you. Okay. You got something else for me?
I don't have anything else. Let me just, I'll say this, because we're at time. I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight. I also want to say thank you for those of you who came and put your heart on the stage tonight, shared words of encouragement, spoke truth to power. I like to say, like, this night is for you all. It's for you all to be able to speak and to share. So I'm really grateful for everyone who came out to share. And then for my impromptu daycare provider, I really thank you so much. I appreciate you, because my son is like, it's time to go. And so I really appreciate everyone. So I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully we'll be able to do this again, and more people will be inspired to speak. And I'll turn it back over to Kathy.